Stop. House gamers, Dayton here. Wait, is that how they do it in Vsauce? No, he says hey.
I don't really watch Vsauce, I don't know.
Jack, you're talking when I'm trying to do art. Hey, house gamers, Dayton here. One of those.
Top of your head in that one.
You can see, damn it. Hey, house gamers, Dayton here. Remember when we did unboxings? I should have hit that harder. I was scared of the table. Hey, house gamers, Dayton here. Remember when we used to do unboxings and stuff? We're not doing unboxings today, Jack. Yeah, that was a little too hard. I'm gonna teach you guys how I built a death robot and how you too can build a death robot if you put your mind to it. In today's video, we'll be covering all the basics that I haven't written down yet, but in time will be on this thing. Let's get into it. Alright, so like with any project, when you look at the finished project, you're gonna think, oh my god, I have so much work to do. But when you start to break it down, it becomes a lot less overwhelming. Number one, I needed to get him around the field, so we had to have some sort of locomotion. I chose a car. He also had to have armor, because he was going to get shot at a lot, and he did get shot at a lot. A-R-M-O-R? Or is there a U in Canada?
In Canada, there's a U.
Should I do the U so people yell at us?
Yeah.
Okay. He was going to need some sort of offensive weapon, a turret, meaning I needed to make it look left and right, up and down, and have him actually be able to shoot people. But to do that, I needed to see what was going on, so I had to set up an FPV system as well. And the FPV system's great, but not great for videos. So I had to set up a 360 system as well, so you could see what was going on in the actual video. And then I had to figure out a way to power it and to figure out a way to control it. It was a lot of work. So first things first, always start out with a list. Boom, got a list. It's easy when you take the time to do it. That's good just all around. It's good when you take the time to do it. What it? Don't know, could be anything, but do it. Moral support from Dayton. I could be like the next guy. I could be the next guy. Just do it. Do it! Okay, so for the locomotion, it wasn't actually that hard. My neighbor, handy enough, gave me one of his old RC cars, and this was already four-wheel drive. So all I had to do was completely redo everything that made it move, except for the things that held the wheels together. We're gonna rip all that out, put in a new motor, and it's gonna be like Pimp My Ride. So as you guys might have seen in the videos, one thing that I'm going to have to address in the new version of Bubbles, hey, by the way, that's the new version of Bubbles, he was a little top heavy. He's a little tilty. Don't worry, next version of Bubbles has center of gravity solved. This is not gonna tip over, Jack. It's not gonna tip over, okay? So that solved the locomotion. I was able to get myself a four-wheel drive system that worked good enough. After that, I had to figure out a way to protect it. The armor. I am all about recycling. So Bubbles' armor is actually made out of the inside panel of an LCD TV. So LCD TVs have somewhat impact resistant plastic inside of them. So I took one apart that was broken, heated it up, bent it, and gave Bubbles the armor that he needed. You might also notice that I'm going to slowly undress Bubbles while this goes. So get a good look at him, because this is what he looks like when he's finished. As I disassemble him, he will get less and less bubbles as time goes on. After the armor, next thing to worry about, big boom boom. So compared to the turret system, the locomotion and the armor was a piece of cake. This houses the gun, the magazine, the FPV, the control for your vertical adjustment, so your elevation on the cannon. And inside the car is all the controls for your panning left and right. Basically all it is a servo with a 2-to-1 gear ratio, so that as I look around, or as I turn the servo left and right, I get a 2-to-1 rotation. So the servo turns only about 90 degrees, but the turret itself can turn about 180 degrees. So this is all the control for just the left and right. And then this servo here is your control for the up and down. It wasn't too hard to design this mechanism. The difficulty came with the reloading mechanism and the gun. So to show you that, I'm gonna have to take off his armor again. So it is a Novrich SSE-18. He did send me this for this. I don't think he knew I was gonna tear it apart and make it so that it's no longer a Novrich gun anymore, but it doesn't matter, it's Bubbles, it's part of him. The pistol itself is great. Finding a way to load it and to shoot it was my challenge. You guys can see on the side here, it's got the hopper for all the BBs, and then this servo here actually spins the lower half of what was a high cap magazine. So I had to change the adapter so that it fit into here and made it so that the hopper fed into what was the high cap magazine. But now, whenever I am on the controller here and I flip this switch, it starts winding the magazine, and it'll start winding the BBs in there. So the next thing for the big boom boom was actually getting it to fire, which turned out to be a little bit more of a problem than I was expecting. So I wired a servo that's hooked up to the RC transmitter to just press a button, and when I flip this switch here, it presses the button. Now that button is hardwired in to the MOSFET that controls the pistol itself. The pistol doesn't have a battery in it, but when you flip that switch, it presses that button, and that button makes the gun start shooting. It only has full auto, but that's not a problem, that's actually a feature. Alright, so now with the turret doing the turret things, I needed a way to see what the turret is doing while the turret's doing the turret things. So the next thing up was the first person view, the FPV. So this system that I've designed uses the Foxier FPV system. Foxier FPV systems are freaking fantastic. Foxier makes the scope cams that I used in all of my old videos, so I reached out to them and I was like, hey, you guys do FPV, do you have anything good? And they said, let me help you make a horrible killing machine. And they sent me their top of the line FPV system. So this is a 2.5 watt maximum video transmitter. I believe it's called the Foxier Reaper. It's got a lollipop antenna on there, and underneath this, inside, if you look into his eyes, you can see the little FPV camera. So this is a little sample of the FPV camera, what you're seeing while I'm driving around. So you can see he's looking around. That's me, hi! I just have a little piece of tape, and that's what I used to aim it. It worked well enough. So for example, I am looking directly into the barrel of the gun right now. Is my face on the dot? Did I get it right?
Yeah, you did.
Poggers. But the FPV system actually works really well. Look at that, up, down, got a little left, a little right. It's fantastic. Protecting this camera is your number one priority when making armor. Everything else here is relatively easy to fix. Cameras and camera video transmitters, not easy to fix. This is where the armor is most important. And you'll notice it's completely separate from all the other armor because it needed to be freaking strong, and it is the second time around. Goggles, literally. Jack, get on in here. It's just goggles. I cut out a piece of goggles and put it there. That's the best impact glass I have ever used. From now on, whenever you protect cameras, a little secret from the inside, just use goggles. Look at this, 360 camera, goggles as well. And you guys know how much this got shot at in the last video. Next up, 360 camera. I kind of already just covered that, so just watch the last 5 seconds or so when I said I put the 360 camera on the front of it and then put goggles around it. There's nothing else you need to know. It's a 360 camera. It records. It just needed to be protected and not broken. And I did that. It didn't get broken.
Cool.
Cool, pretty cool.
Yeah, now 6 power.
6 power. How power?
I mean, just do that properly because you're not going to hear me in the...
Jack, when have we done anything properly? I'm gonna keep that one. Let's do it. Okay, power. I have to run this thing off of 3 separate batteries. And if you guys ever make anything like that, this is something you're going to discover. This battery I made, goes to the speed controller. Speed controller is in charge of speed control. If I had this battery plugged in to the video transmitter as well, every time I move forwards or backwards, you get a horrible screeching sound. That sound, that little taste that I gave you, imagine that, but 1,000,000 times stronger coming through the screen. You have to remember, this has got audio receiving too, so I can hear people talking around them. Third battery is for the gun itself. Same sort of issue. As soon as you start shooting, you're gonna get a lot of feedback, and it's just not good. I use 3 separate batteries. Yes, it's annoying trying to shove all that in there, but for the quality of content that I'm trying to give to you, it's necessary.
What was...
That's how much quality, Jack. You have to understand the scale only goes to there. So that is still a lot. So to wrap this all up, Bubbles was a ton of work. This is Bubbles, mark my words. The Bubble. Penis. That was a stroke. That was a stroke, I think. In conclusion, Bubbles is freaking sexy. I really loved working on them. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. Basically, the moral of the story that I'm trying to teach you guys here is when you want to try and build something like this, make a list. Like really, it really seemed overwhelming when I started this project, but taking a little piece at a time, working on one part of the project every day, really made it manageable. Which brings me to my next project. So Bubbles turned out great. He did exactly what I wanted. I wanted him to be cute and be able to maybe kill a guy once in a while, and he accomplished that. But he got a taste of blood and he wants more. So Bubbles has to evolve. And I'm sure you guys have seen this the whole time sitting here. This is the frame of the next Bubbles, Bubbles Mark V. Let's talk about that real quick. Just sucking my string back up, Jake. Alright, so Bubbles Mark V. There were a couple problems with Bubbles Mark IV that I wanted to address. Number one was the top heaviness. Bubbles Mark IV was way too top heavy. Bubbles Mark V is very wide. Now, I know, look, it folds in, okay? I'm not done yet. It's gonna have support on the inside, keeping it upright. Stop writing the comment, I already thought about that, okay? That being said, any other things you guys can think of, leave a comment. I would love your input. But yeah, it's gonna be a track system. So, as you can see, I've designed a pretty simple suspension setup. It's got three legs that give the actual suspension support to the tracks, and the tracks are just made out of 2 bike chains and a whole bunch of 3D printed plates stuck to it. It's got a gearbox on the back here. I think it's a 40-to-1 ratio. Point is, motor spin track, track spin, and car go. Not a car tank, but let me give you a little test here because I did actually just get it working and I can't wait to show you guys this thing. Look at this. Got a motor with our main gear. That hooks up to that one right there. Ah, stop!
That was a really stupid idea.
It's kind of sharp. It's not exactly quiet, I'll give you that, but it does look pretty cool. Moral of the story is, I have learned lessons, and I will use these learned lessons to create a more deadly death robot. And I really hope that you guys will help support me in this new addiction that I've found of making death robots. Have I said death robot enough that YouTube will demonetize this video? Death robot. Anyways, seriously though, guys, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel in this new endeavor that I have of making death robots. There I go again, saying it. Make sure if you guys want to help support the channel and make it so that I don't go homeless with buying electronic components like these, you guys make sure to become a channel sponsor or the super thanks button. Super thanks?
Yeah.
That's a horrible name. Please,
Yeah.
the super thanks button to be super thankful. I don't know, just please help support. I don't want to be homeless. This stuff's expensive. Friggin' love making it and I love showing this stuff to you guys, but gosh darn, don't say the Lord's name in vain, Jack. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you hanging out, and I'm going to have more of these update videos on the progress of these projects. Now we've got the filming room back up. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys some other time, I guess. Don't know when it'll be, but it's not in 2 seconds when the video's over. Goodbye.